Hello and welcome to my channel, Boo Snakes and More. Today we're going to be talking about reptiles, so please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And for more videos like this, also watch my other house channel, A&A Snakes and Stuff, my youngest son's channel, Henny's Toys and Games, or my oldest son's channel, Little Chris 10. Now let's dive into the video. Reptiles, as commonly defined, are a group of tetrapods with an electromagnetic cold-blooded metabolism in atomic development. Living reptiles compose four orders: Tetrapods, turtles, crocodilia, crocodilians, squamadrata, lizards and snakes, and Rhinocolapia, the tarantula. As of May 2023, about 12,000 living species of reptiles are listed in the reptile database. The study of the traditional reptile orders, customarily in combination with the study of modern amphibians, is called herpetology. Reptiles have been subject to several conflicting taxonomic definitions. In Lewerian taxonomy, reptiles are gathered together under the class Reptilia, which corresponds to common uses. Modern quadridistrict taxonomy regards that group as pathological, since genetic and pathogenetic evidence has determined that birds, class Aves, are members of Dinosauria. As members of Dinosauria are more closely related to living crocodilians than to other reptiles, and are thus nestled among reptiles from an evolutionary perspective. Many cardiovascular systems therefore redefines reptilia as a clade monopogeographic group, including birds, though the precise definition of this clade varies between authors. Others prioritize the clade Spasfodilias, which typically refers to all ammonitids more closely related to modern reptiles than to mammals. The earliest known proto-reptiles originated from the Carboniferous period, having evolved from advanced reptilomorph triopods, which became increasingly adapted to life on dry land. The earliest known raptor, true reptile, was Homonus, a small and superficial lizard-like animal which lived in Nova Scotia during the Bashkirian age of the late Carboniferous, around 318 million years ago. Genetic and fossil data agrees that the two largest lineages of reptiles, Archaeopterygia, crocodilians, birds and kin, and Lepidopterygia, lizards and kin, diverged during the Permian period. In addition to the living reptiles, there are many diverse groups that are now extinct, in some cases due to mass extinction events. In particular, the Galactorus Pelagian extinction event wiped out the Placers, and all non-aviary dinosaurs, alongside many species of crocodilian life forms and squamatids, e.g. Monosauruses. Modern non-bird reptiles inhabit all the continents except Antarctica. Reptiles are tetrapod vertebrates, Creatures that either have four limbs or, like snakes, are descended from four-limbed ancestors. Unlike amphibians, reptiles do not have an aquatic lever stage. Most reptiles are ovoviviparous, although several species of squagromites are viviparous, as were some extinct aquatic clads. The fetus develops within the mother using a non-mammalian placenta rather than contained in an eggshell. As astromites, reptile eggs are surrounded by membranes for protection and transport, which adapt them to reproduction on dry land. Many of the viviparous species feed their fetuses through various forms of placenta analogies to those of mammals, with some providing internal care for their hatchlings. Extinct reptiles range in size from a tiny gecko, Squamidilius aracis, which can grow up to 17 millimeters (0.7 inches), to the saltwater crocodile, Cordelius propaceus, which can reach over 6 meters (19.7 feet) in length and weigh over 1,000 kilograms (2,200 pounds). Classification, research history. In the 13th century, the category of reptile was recognized in Europe as consisting of a mixed series of egg-laying creatures, including snakes, various fantastic monsters, lizards, assorted amphibians, and worms, as recorded by Vivelius in his Mirror of Nature. In the 18th century, the reptiles were, from the outset of classification, grouped with the amphibians, licenses working from species poor Sweden, where the common adder and grass snake are often found hunting in water, included all reptiles and amphibians in Class 3 Amphibia. In its Systematica Naturae, the terms reptile and amphibian were largely interchangeable, reptile from Latin rapar, to creep, being preferred by the French. J. N. Latini was the first to formally use the term reptilia for an expanded selection of reptiles and amphibians basically similar to that of Linus. Today, the two groups are still commonly treated under the single heading herpetology. It was not until the beginning of the 19th century that it became clear that reptiles and amphibians are, in fact, quite different animals, and P.A. Leterrier erected the class Britannica, 1825, for the later, dividing the tetrapods into the four former classes of reptiles: amphibians, birds, and mammals. The British astronomist T.H. Hendricks made the tenuous definition popular, and together with Richard Owen expanded Reptiliana to include the various fossil Antrovictorian monsters, including dinosaurs and the mammal-like Stratopod Dicterion he helped describe. This was not the only possible classification scheme. In the Henry literature derived at the Royal College of Surgeons in 1863, Herrick grouped the vertebrates into mammals, steroids, and tetrapods, the later containing the fishes and amphibians. He substantially proposed the names of squidrators and interdictors for the two later groups. In 1866, Cockers demonstrated that vertebrates could be divided based on their reproductive strategies, and that reptiles, birds, and mammals were united by the atomic egg. The term Scaterdarium lizard faces and terrestrial beast faces were used again in 1916 by E.S. Goodrich to distinguish between lizards, birds, and their relatives on the one hand, Squamaderas and mammals and their extinct relatives, Trotomedaries, on the other. Goodwin supported this division by the nature of the hearts and blood vessels in each group, and other features such as the structure of the forebrain. According to Goodwin, both lineages evolved from an earlier stem group, Presentosaurus, first lizard, in which he included some animals today considered reptile-like amphibians, as well as early reptiles. In 1956, DMS Watson observed that the first two groups diverged very early in reptilian history, so he divided Goodrich's protozoa between them. He also reinterpreted Spatiopodoa and Tropidodoa to include birds and mammals respectively. This is Spatiopodoa included Pacormids, Esoscores, Massimilian, Collinear turtles, Squamaderas, lizards and snakes, Rhinobladders, crocodile, tricorners, Protozoans, and non-avian data. In the late 19th century, a number of definitions of reptilia were offered. The biological traits listed by Lavadisers in 1896, for example, include a single